Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're doing great. And I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, joining me in the live stream, and everybody who watches after the live stream. And if you want to know when I go live so you can join in with the chats, hit the notification bell when you subscribe so you can. And hey, if you're subscribed, you better recheck that notification bell. Some people saying they haven't been getting their notifications. I don't know what's up with that. But yeah, I know what's up with it. I don't, I know what's up with it. But anyway, I appreciate the comments I was getting on my community page. As I say, a pat on the back is 18 inches away from a kick in the pants. But I was correct. I'll put it that way. I was correct with the 9-0 decision, and many of you in the chats were also. But and in certain ways, you know, the three, I'll say Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown and Elena Kagan, they had to put some little caveats in there that didn't impact the 9-0 decision, but they had to make a couple of squeaky noises. I'll put it that way. But they still concurred unanimously. So in a way, you know, people who were pointing those three out were right also. So, but squeaky noises don't count, you know. Just the final decision. Hi, Joan. How you doing? Wanda. How you doing? Jax. Nikki, M, OXM, Roberto, Alan, Quilt, Debbie, B-Dog. Hi, William. How you doing? Wayne's here. How you doing, Wayne? May, while you guys are thinking about it, hit the like button. And if you weren't thinking about it, now you're thinking about it. Hit the button. Podget, P-O-D-G-E, Podget. And hi, Diane. Melinda. Oh, it's well, the meltdown. Keith Olbermann, I mentioned his name. He's such a puke. And they say bad publicity is better than no publicity. You know, that's why I don't bring him up at all. But, you know, he really made an idiot of himself. Hi, David. How you doing? So, but he really made an idiot of himself today. And a lot of people are talking about him, so I'll go ahead and mention him. But he is a very obnoxious individual, you know, very ugly in the things he says. So that's why I don't want to give him any publicity, even bad. He's a non-entity, except to say, you know, people are holding on to their hats for these meltdowns, but there will be a few, and we saw Whoopi getting up there and babbling about this morning, but none of it amounts to a pinch of owl poop, except to embarrass themselves. And Jen Psaki, she was on over the weekend talking about she was supposed to be in a courtroom today, or she was on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, and she was supposed to be up Monday, and he's not going to be because of the Supreme Court, you know. And Oberman saying it should be abolished, the Supreme Court. What kind of idiocy is that, you know? So, of course, if they were the ones in the hot seat in Trump's shoes, they would be dumping ashes over their heads publicly and ripping their garments, beating their chests, and screaming and crying. So it's okay when the system is trying to use the bathroom on somebody they don't like or don't agree with, but let somebody use the bathroom on them, and that's when you really hear the screaming and yelling. But speaking of that, bathroom. What did Oberman said something about? Well, I don't get into it. You can watch it on Robert Gavoy and Viva Frey. And if we got any people leaning to the left coming in, I mentioned channels that you'd be better off spending your time watching Robert Gavoya, Viva Frei, Doug in Exile. You know, you get another perspective. And I know the difference between someone discussing facts with me and somebody discussing hyperbole, rhetoric, exaggerations, and that's all you get. That's all you get on MSNBC, CNN, and all that. It's garbage. So broaden your horizons. Go to these different channels, and include mine. You know, that's the start. How you doing, Andrew? Let's see. Yeah, to B-Dogs is tomorrow. Mega Maga Tuesday. Melinda's here. We're winning bigly. Maryland's here. Yeah, we're all 50 states. He's going to be in all 50 states. And I saw where somebody put up a amicus brief, amicus curiae, where they said to the Supreme Court the absolute nature of the 14th Amendment, how the judge in whatever the last state was to try to pull this stunt wrote a unassailable opinion and why Trump has to be kept off the ballot. 51 so-called experts, and one of them was that little troll. I say he looks like a hobbit, married to one of Trump's past advisors, and is involved in the E. Jean Carroll case. What's his name? The little creep. You all know who it is. He's one of them. Lawrence Tribe is one of them. This dopey judge I've had up before, Luttig. I called him a pufferfish. It's kind of like Ann Navarro. Same thing. They claim they're conservatives, and I was like, well, how come these people that claim they're conservatives but blab all this liberal communist stuff? They look like blowfish or pufferfish for some reason. But anyway, you had all these experts. I don't know how many. It was dozens of pages of this amicus brief, and I couldn't imagine having to sit and read that nonsense, because, as I've said before, the Constitution itself was written in a time where you had a lot of average people, but it was written by extraordinary founding fathers, men, whatever. But it was written in such a way, and I've said before that it is a document that most people can get. It's, if you want to learn the law in simple language, simple terms, it is one of the most easiest documents to read and comprehend. They did that for a reason. And it takes a lot of skill to do that. Now, the Declaration of Independence, if you read that separate from the Constitution, you'll see that the cadence of the words, the ideals expressed, you know, sometimes you have to read a sentence twice to get the full impact of it. But that was a letter, a declaration to a monarchy, okay, a monarch. It was John Adams who pushed for Thomas Jefferson to author the Declaration of Independence because of his, as John Adams said, his peculiar felicity of expression. I've always found that to be an interesting way to describe it. And it is indeed a beautiful document to read, the Declaration of Independence. And it differs in the Constitution in that the Constitution, as I said, is written more for the common individual, not a message to a monarch. You can see the difference, all right? So For them to write this amicus, I don't know how many pages, it was dozens of pages. It's going to be a grotesque footnote in history. 51 so-called experts put their signature on it, and every one of them was rejected by the Supreme Court. Anybody else with any credibility or any sense of shame would get a message, you can take a hint, and look at themselves. But no, what they're going to do, they're going to attack the Supreme Court. Okay, they're just starting with that. They just been warming up. Now they're really going to come at it. What's next? Immunity. We'll talk about that. Also, let me see who else is coming in. Doc's in here. How you doing, Doc? Jax is in here. Who'd I miss? So, let's see. Hi, King Bird. Got to vote tomorrow. Andrew, how you doing? Let's see. Roland, how are you? Oh, Garland made an idiot of himself. I don't know if he's doing it, I said keep an eye on Garland. Him and Christopher Wray. They are key positions. They can gather more information. But yeah, this business of going to churches, pulling a fanny, saying, oh, we can't have restrictions on drop, and then the other word is boxes, and we can't have voter ID. Hi, Georgia. So, yeah. I was going to put on my thumbnail, Swamp Queens, but I put up there, the people can't stand it, because that's what Trump said today in his discussing the victory. People can't stand it. They can't stand what's happening at the border and what they're doing to our country. And but I was going to put Swamp Queens. That includes, I don't care what they are. Jamie Raskin, Eric Swalwell, Adam Schiff, Nikki Haley. They're all a bunch of Swamp Queens, and she won the title. How you doing, Chris? Nice to see you. Let's see. Sherry's here. Wanda's here. New Insight. How you doing? I'm just clocking through here, seeing who's here. Oh, yeah. McConnell's sister-in-law. I heard about that. Well, that happened a while back. Yeah, February 11th. What the news was today on that, Andrew, was that they're opening up a federal investigation. Just remember, with federal investigations, there's white hats and there's, the other hats, and those words are keywords, so I have to be careful. So, yeah, they're going to get to the bottom of that, and it may get to the bottom of other car wrecks. Think Ann Hesh. All right. Think of the staffer for the governor of Georgia whose car went cuckoo on them. So we'll see what way that goes. Well, ground shock. What are we talking about? What? What happened? Michigan. Wait a minute, I'm trying to see what's going on. I've had my nose in the news stories, taking notes, and the ground shook in Michigan, huh? So I'm just saying that. Yeah, Andrew's asking earthquake. Hi, Donna. How you doing? Miss Bindersue, how you doing? Sin. Dark side's going to get riled up even more now after being slapped around a bit. Pappy said, well, you're right. Well, we've got to, when you get them trapped, that's when you have a dangerous animal, right? Good evening, Tangela. How you doing? Yeah, there's new stuff coming out, new inside stock, new stuff coming about Fannie Willis. They got a heads up. There's a number of things that are coming out about the waiter that saw Nathan meeting with Terrence when they fibbed about that. Hi, KNS Cleanup, how you doing? And then what you're talking about there with they're coming out to get us, where you keep quiet. That's all called witness tampering, okay? Obstruction of justice. So I was watching Dershowitz, and he said he didn't think the judge would pretty much call them a liar to their face. He would kind of grease his way through it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what he does. Hi, Ali. How you doing? But like I said, I think this case with Fannie is meant to put out the truth. Roland. Oh, got to use a 4 in that word, Roland. TR4 SON. You got or a 0 for O. Pick one vowel out of a keyword and put a number in instead. And if your comment disappears, you'll know why, because you got to put it in a different way. And that's all new people who want to join in the chats. Hi, Dixie. Oh, you had a beautiful day. That's good. That's right. Maryland. It's all good. I mean, we're in historic times. Like Mr. T said, November 5th. He said it just an hour or so ago. November 5th of this year will be the most important day in this nation's history. Hi, Gloria. White Lightning, how you doing? So I'm just rolling through here. So, and we're going to hear more and more stuff pouring out. But, they got to kind of keep it to where people don't get overloaded, sensory overload. We're being told a story. And it's been going on for decades, better part of 100 years. The subjugation of Americans, the undermining of our political process, and the attempted dismantling of our Constitution. And they're using, as we're seeing now, judges, prosecutors that have been installed secretaries of state. But their biggest ally is the media. And Mr. T has said that many times. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Better hope Trump stays safe. Yeah, Fannie opened a can of worms. Hi, Lone Wolf, how you doing? So, I'm just going to touch on this for a second. Did you hear Trump tonight? Not this morning's speech, but or address. But tonight we was talking on that RSBN News. It's at least the third time when he was talking about people coming across the border. He said, we're talking, I guess I could. He said, we're talking Silence of the Lambs stuff. Did you hear him say that 3 times? This is the third time, at least I can remember. And I have it in my notes from about a week back, where I just said, gee, this might be the 4th time he mentioned it. And I put it in my notes. I said, maybe I'm going to mention that. And each time he said, you know what I'm talking about, Hannibal Lecter type stuff. If you don't believe me, watch his little chit chat tonight he had on RSBN. And it's exactly what he says. And that brings me to the point about this where he's talking about these cartels. He said many, many times, I'll take them out just like I did ISIS. Oh, yeah? Well, how'd you take out ISIS? He bombed them to smithereens, okay? He didn't go in there with DEA and civil law enforcement. He took them out with the military. Decisive force, fire and fury. And that's what he's talking about. And I did, in the past, I had made notes to bring it up when we were talking about a lot of the awful things that we know certain people do, especially to younger people. But Trump's very well aware. And there's videos on what they call the dark web. I say don't, and I'm not talking about the ones we usually talk about with Hillary Dillery Do and Huma Abedin. No, the cartels, they put out horrific videos. It's a way of life for them. Trying to one-up each other on their inhumanity. Don't ever look for them. But I'm sure Trump's aware of them too, because they are crimes against humanity. They're not just simply, oh, this is one drug group doing terrible things to the member of another person in a drug group, gang type things. No. Though they do it to gang members, but they don't limit it to that. And it's disgusting, and I know Trump knows about it. That's why he said, no, they are animals. Don't tell me they're not animals. Don't criticize me for calling them animals. They are. And he brought it up many times, how they use KNIFESs, okay? In little pieces, because it takes longer and hurts more. And he talks about a little girl or a teenager, 14-year-old, was 13 or 14-year-old, what they did to her. So, yeah, you better believe that these groups are being tracked, and their time is coming. And I remember with our friend Oakman, he contacted me after Trump was talking about military action against the cartels. And the press was leaking misinformation saying that Trump was secretly plotting with the military. This was last year to do something with the cartels militarily. And he was very excited. He said, this is a good sign, because that is what it's going to take to get these people out. So, yeah, I just found it interesting. And he doesn't repeatedly bring up the same theme or words over and over again for nothing. It may not be a message to us, but it may be a message to the perpetrators, or maybe a message to the people who utilize, aid and abet these people and turn a blind eye to their savagery just to profit off them, or to get more votes delivered to this country for them. It doesn't matter what their goal is. Make money, RIG, an election, right? Doesn't matter. If they're aware of the viciousness and the heinousness of the crimes, and they facilitate this kind of behavior, they're just as guilty. So maybe that's why he mentioned multiple times Hannibal Lecter. Maybe that's why he mentioned multiple times Silence of the Lamb, multiple times about how they cut people up into what? Little pieces. I didn't mean to talk about that. I know it's not something people want to have on their minds, but it's reality. And he brought it up tonight. That's the only reason I'm repeating it. This isn't, as we know, most 90% of the people in the chats, 90% of the people that watch these videos all the way through know that this is not another 4-year election. It's not about this presidency. It's about humanity. It's about the course of civilization for the next 1,000 years. If America falls, the world falls. The facade of civility that you see in other countries outside of America is only kept up because we exist with the Second Amendment behind us. The people of this nation, not the current government, certainly not the structure of the government over the last half a century, is not the reason that these other nations maintain a facade of civility. If it wasn't for, as was it Hirohito or Yamamoto or whoever it was that said, there's a gun behind every blade of grass in America, you get it out of your head about invading America. If it wasn't for our culture and for our nature, our nation, the people of this nation, the world would be in a dysphoric state that you couldn't even imagine. As we were told, 90%, if everybody knew everything that was going on, 90% of us would need some form of mental health therapy. So I don't encourage people to dwell on it, but I'm bringing it up because Mr. T brought it up. To keep us fired up, too big to rig. Look at what they're getting away with now. These surgeries they're doing, not telling the parents, in some cases imprisoning the parents if they don't play along. That's a nightmare that's unbelievable. Holy cow, I got to notice. Miss Mendersue, thank you so much for going to buy me a coffee. Love what you're doing now, man. Keep going. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Miss Mendersue. I appreciate it. And Christopher chimed in last night after or close to the end of the broadcast. He said, keep up the channel and all the hard work you put in your show. Thank you, Christopher, if you're out there. And Mike D, I thought it was Mike. It is Mike D, but Bev also. I didn't realize it was from Mike and Bev. They said, we're looking forward to listening to your keen insights and thoughtful analysis on the convoluted events we're in today. Okay, thank you. They said they're thanking me for spending my precious time with them. All right, thank you, Bev and Mike. So thank you, Miss Mendersue. I got to buy me a coffee link in the chats. I noticed Nikki put in there, and Miss Mendersue chimed in. I appreciate it so much. But I don't want people. I have about a year ago, I started trying to get people away from the dark truths that my counsel was not to take a bath in it or dwell on it every day and have it erode your strength or in your faith. And at that time, that I feel that was good counsel. Now we're at a point in this struggle where we have to remind ourselves of that darkness, because we're winning. And I said, winners, when they see a finish line, they speed up, right? Losers see the finish line, they slow down. Now we can use that information of what I discussed, how these other countries are dealing with crime, can't deal with crime, are being taken over by cartels, being taken over by criminal organizations. They can't protect their own people, or in many cases, they're party to the criminality. This is the final battle. If we're ever going to stop them, now is the time and the hour. And to dwell on the heinousness that I've been describing in this broadcast a year ago, when things seemed dark, when things seemed down, it was keeping us down, keeping us dark ourselves. That's not why we were put here. We were put here for a reason, which is to be strong, to help others when they start seeing the truth, help them walk through the darkness to get to the light. And we can't exhaust our emotions. We can't feel despair. We can only feel what I've talked about in the past: a silent fury, a righteous might. That's what's going to get us out of this. We're not going to go down to their level of vitriol. We're not going to go down to their level of law breaking. We're going to use the most precious thing we have, which is our freedom and our Constitution, to turn this ship around and get things going in the right direction. So, Nikki, did you give, I forgot, I didn't give Mr. Bender. Yeah, Mr. Bender, there's the booms. I'm looking. Oh, good, Melvita. Your daughter woke up. I'll be darned. You know, and we have to have some compassion for people who are thinking like Melvita. Let me put a were on that. We're thinking like Melvita's daughter, because they have been subjected to a finely honed bit of a bunch of propaganda, military grade disinformation and propaganda. Hi, Em, how are you doing? So we've got to, you know, understand that. I'm just looking through here. Yeah, Tennessee, how you doing? Tennessee is going on forward in the basketball in Harte, Tennessee. I don't know if you pay attention to that. I just heard it out of the, as a side note, when I was cruising through the news. Diane, oh yeah, P. Diddy. Yeah, a lot of them are going to be getting in trouble. I haven't heard a peep out of that Saturday Night Live lawsuit for the same thing you're talking about, Diane. They're doing against P. Diddy. S3X trafficking and stuff like that. Hi, Redhausen. How you doing? Hi, Sharon. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits coming out. And not only for that, that kind of abuse, right? There's going to be stuff coming out about this stuff they've been doing to people, about, first of all, scaring them, and second of all, forcing them to do things in their shoulder, right? Oh, sorry to hear that, Tennessee. Navy vet, taking care of his grandma for over 10 years. Wow. And she's going on to her great reward. She's a single mother with 3 teenage children. Wow. Well, she's got to pass on what she's learned, Melvita. You know, pass it on. So we get three of those three teenagers are going to be going into the next generation, carrying on what we are learning in these dark times. You know, so it can never happen again. Now, I'm going to get back to this business with the 9-0 decision. I've been hearing that they're Democrats. I see Jamie Raskin on TV with his plan. When they do it, it's a plan. If somebody else does it, it's a plot, right? That's how they twist things. If I'm thinking of ways, a strategy, I'm plotting. But they plan. Okay, but anyway, so they're plotting on how they can utilize this Supreme Court decision to still go after Donald Trump. And the plain reading of the Constitution, and I meant to put this in my thumbnail, is checkmate. This is checkmate. Let me tell you how this is checkmate. The Supreme Court came out with the obvious decision that individual states cannot dictate who can run for federal office. They're hanging their hat on Section 5. Now, I'm not going to get technical at all because the Constitution is not a technical document. It's meant for the average American to comprehend and understand. Section 5 says that Congress must pass appropriate legislation, okay, concerning anything as far as insurrection or immunities or what have you. Appropriate legislation means it has to be supported by the Constitution. Jamie Raskin saying we got to put something before Mike Davis to declare Donald Trump was an insurrectionist and have Congress with that declaration have the ability to take him off the ballots. Wait a minute. That's not appropriate legislation. It doesn't follow the due process clause of the Constitution. Very simple. Due process. Everybody's entitled to due process through the courts. You just don't go vote somebody's rights away without them being able to defend themselves. But I'm telling you, that's the kind of crap they're going to try to pull. And it is so simple. I don't know if people are doing it for ratings. They want to get clicks or whatever. No, it's not complicated. You can't put something before Congress to vote on, even if they vote that we say Donald Trump's an insurrectionist. We're going to take him off the ballot. That's not constitutional. It'll get struck down. Why waste our time? And why do we have judges and attorneys with bar cards who talk this kind of garbage and are allowed to keep their licenses? If we're going to pass anything, it's going to be that attorneys, prosecutors, anybody behaves that way and says things that are blatantly unconstitutional. You can't practice law. How can you practice law if you don't even understand the document? So the other thing about it, how it's so foolish that this went to the Supreme Court, and how foolish it is that we had 50 experts write an amicus brief supporting Colorado and this judge in Illinois, is the supremacy clause. The immunity case is the same thing. It can all be taken care of in a few minutes of somebody just settling down, using their brain, and reading the Constitution. The Constitution says that any of the rights or powers not enumerated in the Constitution for the federal government are reserved for the states. So you have the powers outlined in the federal Constitution. Any that are not enumerated are reserved for the states. Okay. It says for the president to be put on trial, it's impeachment. For high crimes and misdemeanors, very important term. Misdemeanors are speeding tickets, okay? Misdemeanors are littering. Misdemeanors are, I don't know, pimp slapping somebody. Well, that might be simple assault or something like that. Misdemeanors. High crimes are everything between a misdemeanor on up. Red rum, okay? Arson, tree, and then the rest is son. I can't say that whole word, it'll get me flagged. So it says in there, that power to convict a president or to try a president has already been claimed in the Constitution. And by the supremacy clause, the states may not assume that power. Very simple. And Trump is not claiming he's got absolute immunity. The ignorant prattling of these news organizations. Well, he could get SEAL Team 6 to murder his opponent. Ugh, what idiocy. The Constitution in no way lays that out. I think this is all being put in front of the Supreme Court to educate the public. To get people to actually read and comprehend the Constitution. It really doesn't get any simpler than what I just said. The power to prosecute a president, try a president, charge a president is claimed by the Constitution. Congress, impeachment, high crimes, misdemeanors. Supremacy clause means the state cannot usurp those powers. Real simple. Next question. But what's the alternative for these ninnies that want Trump to be excoriated, tried, put in jail? 50 years from now, we're going to have somebody on their side leaving office, getting attacked and arrested and grabbed up and destroyed, their property seized, their freedom threatened by who? Anybody that feels like doing it in 50 states? Having a former president of the United States being charged in 4 simultaneous cases all up and down the damn East Coast. If there's any liberals out there listening, I want to ask you, what the hell are you thinking? What makes you want to live in that type of society that allows that? And can't you read the plain words of the Constitution? Don't you understand the reason you have shoes on your feet? The reason you can have go to Starbucks and piddle around on a computer all day is because you live in this country because of the Constitution, you nitwit. And just what Trump said, if they can do it to me, they can do it to you. What don't you understand about that? I've tried to drill it through people's heads on just the border and what they do to young ones in school. And that doesn't faze them. It doesn't faze them. So I don't know what else, except when their own ox might get gored. Liberals are so generous with other people's money. Always with other people's money. Roland, you got to use one for an I with that word, G1T Mo. G1T Mo. So your comment might disappear because they know about that name of that camp in their algorithm. Believe me, you. They know about that name and they're going to keep it down. Yeah, Roland, I was talking about that last week. Putin gave a speech that they're on the edge of having a cure for the big C. Hi, Christina. Oh, my goodness. Well, get your rest, honey. Well, no, because I'm reading what Diane said. If the immunity vote passed, won't that give Obama and Biden? Didn't they impeach Trump the second time after he left office? Let me get an answer in the chats. I didn't spend enough time on it. I meant to say Trump knows this, and he's not asking for absolute immunity. He's asking for absolute immunity as defined in the Constitution. He knows president can be impeached for lawful purposes. But a president, when he's in office and conducting his official duties, they impeached him. They went through the process after he left office. So Obama and Biden and all of them, hey, I'm a single songwriter. What I said earlier in the program, if you want to check your notifications, see if they pulled the plug on your notifications. I've heard more than one person tell me they haven't been getting their notifications, and my views have been suppressed. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this. Now they say the one that was squeaking the loudest, but still played ball, was squeaking the loudest, was Sonia Sotomayor. And I mentioned in the past that Trump has brought her out by name. Even before he got elected, he said, well, I may be replacing her. She's got high blood pressure, Remember that? I look for her to either step down or be removed. The word on the street is John Roberts had to do some arm twisting to get them to come out with a 9-0, and mostly 99% of the reason was Sonia Sotomayor wanting to be the one dope. So we don't need dopes on the Supreme Court. Now, as going back to this impeachment business, this retired federal judge Ludwig, and I played videos of him on my streams in the past, and I've mentioned Lawrence Tribe, this Harvard professor by name, and I've shown his videos in the past. They're the ones supporting insurrection. They're the ones who are undermining our constitutional system. And I think Judge Ludwig should have to forfeit his benefits, his behaviors, and his ridiculous amicus idiocy that he tried to pawn off of the Supreme Court. I think he should not be permitted to call himself a judge in good, a retired judge in good standing. Reduces retirement and his benefits to a large degree, and publicly discredit him when people are knowingly doing things to subvert the election, or they're too stupid to understand basic precepts in the Constitution. I'm a layman. I'm not an attorney. I can read the Supremacy Clause. I can read impeachment, okay, how that works. I can read the enumeration of powers and what's left to the states and what's not left to the states. Real simple. And it stuns me that we don't see people picking up on it. I'm not going to pick out any names, people I watch that I agree with on most things. But to me, hey, the roadmap's right there. The plain English. So did anybody hear what's going on with North Dakota? What's the vote totals? That's right, Jersey Joe. We got dopes all over the government. Christina, you got to check your notification bells. If you got it wrong, honey. Oh my, Nikki, you got a propane factory or something? Oh, hi, Zoe. So I didn't get a chance to get an update on the totals. And then we got Super Tuesday tomorrow. Let me see. Just looking through the chats here. Like I said, if you're watching this video after the live stream and you want to join in on chats, real simple rules. You just don't use words like KILL or anything. If you were in charge of safety for chats and stuff, the algorithm picks them out, and we don't want that kind of negative attention. So you put a number in place of a vowel. 4 for A, O, 0 for O, an I for a 1 for an I, on and on and on. So anyway, I'm going to give you all an example. Why a president needs immunity. Trump brought it up, and I guess he left it for us to figure out on our own. He brought up Soleimani. He brought up al-Baghdadi. Al-Baghdadi's the one who died in a tunnel like a dog when Sarge went down there and got him. He's the one who had an American citizen, Kayla, hostage for a year, abusing her, and then finally ended her life. So Trump ended his. Then you have Soleimani, who was very heavily involved in designing and financing and constructing IEDs. And a lot of other horrible things that took the lives of our servicemen and women. And he was coming to screw around in Iraq, okay, in our embassy in Iraq. Trump took him out. Imagine if you had the likes of Ilhan Omar, and what's the other one's name? Rashida Tlaib. Imagine if they had some manner of power to be able to arrest a president after his term. If they had their way, it'd be during their term. What do you think they'd do? They'd want vengeance for some foreign enemy. What do you think they'd do if they had a chance? Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, if they had the chance, what would they do to Trump? You don't have to put a descriptive thing in the chats, but you know what I'm talking about. And that's why Trump brought it up. So I hear these things from Trump. I pick them up. If it's kind of weird, like the Silence of the Lambs and the Hannibal, I kind of wait to see, and sure enough, he keeps repeating it. And what I said about what he talked about last night or yesterday evening was, we're going to prosecute people that cheat this time around. We're not going to let them get away with it. And he said, if they're smart, they've been paying attention, and they heard him say, we're going to do things we've never done before. So anybody out there that's getting $40 a ballot or $20 a ballot for everyone they take a picture of before they dump them off and all that stuff, think about it. Is it worth 10 years of your life? He said our prisons were overcrowded. We got to do something about it. What do you think he's going to do? Build more? Because we're not going to keep going through this. And he seems to like 10 years. That's what he did for the monuments. I'm just talking little operatives. The 2,000 winos, the 2,000 whiners. All right? That's what we were talking about yesterday instead of mules. So if they're smart and they're thinking, oh, this election, I can, hey, think about it. In Minnesota, it was $40, I heard, on that little expose where they were going around little Somalia ballot harvesting, $40 a pop. Do the math. Do the math. Is it going to be worth it? 10 years in the joint? How about just get a job? How about that? So anyway, I want to find out who started this term self-executing. And that's getting back to the situation Trump's dealing with the Supreme Court and this trying to keep him off the ballot, accusing him of being an insurrectionist. What offense can be self-executing? There's no such thing under our Constitution. As a matter of fact, the Constitution was written to prevent that kind of language. But that's what they're hanging their hat on. That it's self-executing. Everybody's entitled to due process under the Constitution. What are you going to do? Say, well, we got video of you doing something, so you're guilty. It's self-executing. Because somebody phoned us and reported that they saw you, and they feel that you're guilty of X crime. So it's self-executing. Turn yourself in. I want to find out who came up with that, because I think they used that language in the amicus brief that they submitted to the Supreme Court some time ago, supporting this business of kicking Trump off the ballot. But I tell you one thing that Trump repeated before we wrap up tonight. And what I've been, it verifies what I have been saying for 2 years. I said the first law of war was to accomplish your goals with the least human suffering. Doesn't mean sacrifice your goals. Doesn't mean turn your back on your principles or to surrender. It just means if there's a way to do it and reduce human suffering, that's the way you do it, right? Well, I've said for a long time that the nation has to unify, that the nation has the majority of the nation, not a simple majority, a super majority, needs to understand there's something very wrong and things need to be changed drastically to keep this from happening again. And Trump said at least 4 times in one way or another that the decision by the Supreme Court was a big step toward unification. He used the word unification because the country is severely divided. The Supreme Court's decision was a big step toward unification, and he used the term unity. You listen to his 16 or 17-minute address this morning, how many times he alludes to the country uniting. And let me tell you something. Yeah, there's baddies out there. Yeah, people have got, there's retribution, namely a lawful price to pay for criminal activity, criminal actions. A 10-year jail sentence is retribution, not revenge. So when you have a majority of the country firm in the right, wanting retribution, we're going to get it. Someone went to buy me coffee. I appreciate that. Someone, they didn't get their name in. If you want to because sometimes people miss the chance to put their name in. It just comes up as someone. You want to give yourself some booms, but if not, Nikki can give you some booms for someone who went to buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. But anyway, so we'll get our retribution, because if we have a supermajority that understands things have been done wrong, understands that there are actual crimes committed against our way of life, against our country, if they get to understand the depth and reach of the liberties that are taken with very young people in schools, okay? When they understand how it was so unnecessary for this country to suffer the way it did through the illness, I call it, people are going to want just retribution. Jersey Joe, boom, boom, boom. Okay. Hi, Dean, how you doing? That's right. United we stand, divided we fall. Or as Benjamin Franklin said, if we don't hang together, we certainly will hang separately, right? But anyway, I've got absolute authorization in my thumbnail, and I was going to talk about that first. But Trump these are points he wants to hammer home, so I'm going to repeat it. Absolute authority. Joe Biden has absolute authority. He can shut that border down tonight. And the American people need to understand it. The American people need to understand, as Trump said, he believes it's upwards of 20 million people that have come in this country, and this country, the people can't stand it. Something's got to be done. And it is not because of Biden's incompetence. He has purposefully abrogated his responsibility, dereliction of duty, because he has absolute authority over the border. He needs no bill passed by Congress to do his job. And the people need to understand that. Like Trump said, in the past, citizens, the American people can't stand it. And in the past, citizens have used sticks and stones to keep invaders out. People need to get their rose-colored glasses off of, well, we got to take care of that. No speaking, don't you feel sorry for them? I ask them if they need any help. They say, no spooky, I feel so bad. And I give them whatever they want. If it belongs to you, I give it to them. Not if it belongs to me, What are you talking about? So, yeah, absolute authority over the border. He's letting over 20 million things. And I'm going to close up with this, folks. If you caught it, how many of you caught this? And I think it's important. His words, he picks his words very carefully. And a bunch of people dropped off, and they're going to miss this part, which I think is one of the biggest parts. He was talking directly to Joe Biden. How many of you caught this? He said, it is a violent thing you've done. He was talking to Joe. He was talking to Joe. Go back and listen to it. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to Trump's address this morning, 16 minutes, whatever it is. And he said, it's a violent thing you've done. And he's not just talking to Joe. He's talking to all the fascist, Marxist, communists, on and on and on, that are hovering around his desk, that are running the show. Single songwriter caught it. Thank you, Nikki, for putting that in there. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. I didn't bring that up in a while. Y'all give me a thumbs up if you like the program. I appreciate it. Now, there's a lot of other stuff. Let's see, what am I looking at here? I'll probably going live tomorrow. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when I go live in the future. And Nikki, I hope things turn out okay with that fire that is very near your territory. And says a chemical plant or a fireworks warehouse. Well, okay. Well, we'll get to the bottom of that, get an update tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's another big day. So what can they do? Are they going to try to disrupt Super Tuesday? They got a broom handle stuck in their bicycle spokes more than once. He's supposed to be sitting in a courtroom like, what's her name said, Jen Psaki. All right, folks. I will be seeing you probably sometime tomorrow. Thank you very much for spending your precious time with me. Do me a favor and hit the like button. Helps the video get around. Don't keep me all for yourselves. Ha, ha, ha. You all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.